Thanks to all the public and private partners around this table, many more around the world, we've already begun to deliver. Together, we've initiated quality and sustainable infrastructure projects across Africa, Asia, and the Americas. And we're strengthening our shared climate security, health security, and food security, and economic security. All four are critical. We started to engage more private investors to better de-risk and leverage additional capital. And I see at least two from the United States here that are de-risking a lot. And I'm proud to announce that the United States has already mobilized more than $30 billion in investments to date. And we're just getting started. Together we have a lot of work to do to close the infrastructure gap and in low and middle income countries. And as we begin the next year, our partnership, we need to find new ways to maximize our investments. That's why, moving forward, the United States will enhance our focus on investing in key economic corridors. In practice, that means making game-changing investments in regions that could lead to positive impacts across multiple sectors in multiple countries. We've already started working with our partners to make this happen. For example, in sub-Saharan Africa, the U.S. Development Finance Corporation is looking to invest in this first railway project on the continent. A rail line would extend from the western shores of Angola to the border of the DRC and Zambia, with the goal of ultimately reaching Indian Ocean, connecting the continent east to west for the first time. This project will not only quickly promote trade and create jobs, over time, in my view, it will strengthen supply chains, incentivize investments in agriculture, and promote food security. And it's going to enable, in my view, us to better access clean energy and digital connectivity across the entire region, creating more security, more prosperity, more opportunities for generations to come. That's what our focus on the key economic corridors is all about, investing in near-term solutions that pay long-term dividends. It's not only in Africa. We're starting similar work in Costa Rica, Ecuador, Indonesia, and other places I won't bore you with now. Let me close with this. During the G7 meeting, we're addressing a range of issues: climate change, food security, gender inequality, economic resilience, digital connectivity, and global security. We're tracking these challenges together, and I think we're beginning to make some important progress. But if we don't move to do more to strengthen infrastructure in low and middle income countries, if we don't do more to help nations deliver opportunities and prosperity for their people, our impact is going to be limited. That's how critical this partnership is. That's how important our investments are. So today, as we begin the PGII's second year, let's all find ways to maximize our investment. Maximize it, because it will do a lot not only for that particular undertaking, but it has an impact across the entire regions, in my view. And to unlock even more public and private capital. And together, let's recommit to showing that democracies can deliver. Let me say it again. Democracies can deliver. We have to deliver to people around the world. I want to thank you all for your partnership and leadership in this vital issue. And now I'm going to turn it back to the Prime Minister. Thank you.
はい、ジョーありがとう。続きまして、フォンデアライエン委員長にご発言をお願いいたします。
Thank you very much. A pleasure to see you here. Indeed, it has been described, PGII, an initiative of $600 billion, top quality infrastructure, where Europe is proud to contribute half of it. We want eyes-level partnership with the partner countries. We want to find solutions to the real challenges low and middle-income countries are facing today. And we want to be part of the investments in infrastructure projects that bring good jobs and lasting growth, and very important, they create value locally. Now, to reach this goal, we need the private sector. So this could take us from the billions to the trillions. We need you, and that's why we're here today. I know that you want to know that we are in this for the long haul. Yes, This is for sure, we are in this for the long haul. And we want to work with our partner countries in a way that we have full transparency, strengthen the regulatory environment, and develop skills. I know that such a conducive and regulatory clear environment is essential for you to have the necessary predictability and security for capital investment. Country itself and generate new revenues for the country in a way that it is able to export the green hydrogen, for example, to the European Union. In Rwanda, we are working with a vaccine producer to bring the mRNA technology to Rwanda, so that in this country, together with you, the private sector, the country is able to produce the life-saving vaccines for the region. In the Philippines, we are connecting our Copernicus satellite to build the first Earth observation system in Southeast Asia. And Nokia, who is with us today here, is investing in 4G and 5G infrastructure. So here, the cooperation will support national and regional capacities to tackle the impact of climate change and improve disaster risk management. So these were a few brief examples for the incredible power that public-private partnership can unleash. And I'm glad to announce that we are now mobilizing an extra 4 billion euros in loans for the Asian and Pacific regions. Ladies and gentlemen, the G7 partnership is our effort to be part of the solution to the infrastructure investment gap. We want to put a better offer on the table. If we are in a race, we are in a race to the top, and we will continue to work after Hiroshima with the next presidencies of G7 in Italy and in 2025 in Canada. So happy to have you on board, and I want to invite you already to the first Global Gateway Forum in Brussels in October this year. Thank you for joining us.
はい、まずありがとう。続きまして本日は各国首脳のほか、共催国から4名の民間関係者および世界銀行が参加しています。まずは日本から世界中の民間のノウハウと官民の資金をつなぎ合わせ、インフラ事業を進める総合商社を代表して、日本貿易会の国分文也会長に発言をお願いしたいと思います。会長、お願いします。
はい、ありがとうございます。Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here at this side event tonight. The Japan Foreign Trade Council is an industry organization representing various types of the trade-related entities, one of which are so-called Sogo Shosha, or diversified trading conglomerate. We are a group of unique firms involved in a broad range of businesses worldwide, from upstream to downstream, in the supply chains of many different industries. In infrastructure development, the Sogo Shosha organize projects in their entirety. Not only do we act as investors, we are also involved in initial project planning, the structuring the overall financing, and overseeing the construction as well as the operation and maintenance management. We have a long and proven track record, not only in renewable energy, but also public transportation, which helps lower carbon emissions, and desalination projects to tackle water shortages, and so many others. We believe the key to the success of the infrastructure project is the good coordination and collaboration among the wide range of stakeholders, from MDBs, the private investors, the government regulators, to local communities. The way the Sogo Shosha work through communication to benefit all the stakeholders fits well with PGII's philosophy of promoting quality infrastructure investment through public-private partnership. We are now at the critical juncture in human history, highlighted by the importance of upholding the principle of a free and open international order based upon rule of law. So we welcome PGII as an initiative that can help to protect and enhance this principle. And we expect that the governments and other stakeholders around the table will work together hand in hand to further improve the investment environment and promote public-private partnership. Thank you very much.
はい、国務会長ありがとうございました。続いてフレイザーシティグループ最高経営責任者にご発言をお願いいたします。
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Kishida, President Biden and President von der Leyen and Your Excellencies. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting Citi to participate today. We do bring a unique perspective of doing business in 160 countries around the world, and that includes decades of experience working on the ground in many emerging markets, supporting investment and driving economic growth in alignment with the objectives of PGII. We understand the challenges as well as the opportunities that come with addressing the massive infrastructure needs of the developing world and the realities of what it actually takes to get things done on the ground. With President Assoumani here, I'm delighted to highlight our work financing of a $125 million revolving credit facility to support female entrepreneurs in Kenya, Gabon, in Nigeria, and the DRC. Our efforts extend around the world. That includes a $450 million sustainability-linked bond, which is increasing digital access in Costa Rica, and the financing for a $350 million wind farm in northeast Brazil. And President Widodo, we're also helping finance a $400 million green bond to support geothermal power in Indonesia. We're proud of this work that we do around the world, but we know that much more needs to be done. And we certainly welcome the efforts to reform multilateral development banks. To be clear, however, more MDB financing, just used the same way, is not going to get us where we need to be. Instead, it's about how to use MDB financing to catalyze private capital. And there's a couple of different ways and ideas that we could deploy in the near term. The first is incentivizing private capital. We need to reduce the hurdles that frequently restrict the ability to bring private capital to the table. So that's aligning things like the global interpretation of Basel capital rules and country regulations around the world. It's a tad complex today. By aligning the global interpretation of these rules will help us lower capital treatment requirements so that those associated with MDB risk mitigation will enable more private capital in non-investment grade assets, which is the most critical piece here, to flow in. So what is currently a trickle can become a sustainable material flow. The second is also just about sharing expertise. Led by the World Bank, let's bring together technical experts from both sides, so from the development banks and the financial institutions, so we can create more modern financial structures. Financial institutions such as Citi have capital markets and structuring expertise that MDBs don't have, whilst the MDBs have the geopolitical knowledge and project proficiency, including vast amounts of performance data over decades that could really reduce down risk and pricing, therefore, of these projects that the capital market side that we lack. So bringing this together would be very valuable. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't ask for actions to not only mobilize the capital, but to accelerate getting projects actually online. So permitting and the mundane but important activities such as streamlining documentation and contracts and standardizing them would make an enormous difference. So it's not that hard. I am confident that if we have stronger collaboration, we can create enduring and sustainable flows of capital from the private sector that would raise the economic futures of developing countries around the world. Thank you.
はい、フレーザー最高経営責任者、ご発言ありがとうございました。続きまして、ルンドマルクノキア代表取締役社長にご発言をお願いいたします。
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Your Excellencies, it's a pleasure to be here to represent the digital technology industry. And thank you, President von der Leyen, for the invitation. I would like to share Nokia's perspective on how to make initiatives like PGII and Global Gateway as impactful as possible. Digitalization and connectivity improve safety, productivity, efficiency, and sustainability. That's a fact. They are particularly effective in physical industries such as agriculture and manufacturing, making them highly relevant in all developing economies. Transcontinental connectivity with subsea cables such as Medusa in the Mediterranean Sea or the planned Far North Fiber linking Japan, North America, Northern Europe binds us together even more strongly. So, encouraging digitalization and connectivity in partnership with trusted, reliable actors should be one of the PGII's most important objectives. We should be asking ourselves, when any developing economy wants to invest in digital infrastructure or commit to digitalizing its economy, how can we make sure that G7 nations and their trusted vendors are the partners of choice? A big part of the answer is financing. G7 economies have done tremendous work in getting initiatives like PGII and Global Gateway off the ground. They are the best channel to make financing competitive, attractive, and joined up, and they can enable impact on a huge scale across sectors and continents. But we can still make the financial side of these initiatives even more attractive. Speaking for business, we would like development banks and export credit agencies from G7 nations to jointly develop attractive financing tools and offers to support trusted and sustainable infrastructure, so these tools and offers can become even more effective. I'm proud that Nokia is a partner for trusted digitalization. We are working closely with the European Commission to develop Global Gateway digital flagships to benefit countries, industries, and communities. Please consider these projects alongside other pro-digitalization opportunities with the urgency they deserve. Thank you.
はい、ルンドバルク代表取締役社長ご発言ありがとうございました。続いて、オグンレ氏、グローバルインストラクチャーパートナーズ会長兼最高経営責任者にご発言をいただきます。
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, and I thank the G7 for inviting us to be part of this session. GIP, we are one of the largest managers of infrastructure assets around the world. We have $100 billion of assets that we invest in companies in energy, transport, water and waste, and digital sectors. I should say we have substantial investments in every single one of the G7 countries, and I did warn Prime Minister Trudeau that Canada is the exception, but we're working hard to rectify that. We agree that mobilizing private capital is critical to addressing the urgent need for emerging market infrastructure investment. To date, together with our portfolio companies, we have invested over $15 billion of equity to provide critical infrastructure services in over 20 emerging market countries. In Asia, our Vina Energy company is helping to tackle climate and energy security issues by building and operating 3 gigawatts of solar and wind farms in India, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Thailand. Our Outlast Renewable Energy company is doing the same thing in Latin America, with over 4 gigawatts of operating and under construction solar plants in Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, and Colombia. Over the next 10 years, we at GIP aim to invest some $20 billion in businesses that will provide essential infrastructure in emerging market countries. Turning to how the G7 and PGII can turbocharge the flow of private capital into emerging market infrastructure, we have 3 suggestions. One is to provide a pool of capital to support an instrument which can be modeled after the World Bank's partial risk guarantee program that helps to lower the perceived risk of these investments through, for a fee, providing a G7-level backstop for some emerging market country obligations and undertakings. However, unlike the World Bank, apologies, David, the program must be user-friendly, non-bureaucratic, quick-acting, nimble, and flexible. This will materially lower the cost of providing emerging market infrastructure investments. A second suggestion is to explore ways in which PGII can provide support for the development of critical financial products in emerging market countries. Things like longer tenor local currency financing and long-dated currency and interest rate hedges that will again help lower the cost and perceived risk of emerging market country investments. A third and final suggestion is to provide a forum for facilitating the regular flow of information about investment opportunities in emerging market countries, and for educating private sector investors about the tools and instruments that are available from PGII to support these investments. We at GIP stand ready to support the G7 and PGII in this important undertaking. Thank you very much.
はい、オグンレシ会長ご発言ありがとうございました。続いてマルパス世界銀行総裁に発言をお願いいたします。
Prime Minister, and thank you for hosting us here and also for leading the quality infrastructure efforts for nearly a decade. Infrastructure development needs vast resources. I think the ambition should be large to create a dynamic, investable asset class for infrastructure in developing countries that provides geographic and sectoral diversification. Climate infrastructure can clearly be an important portion of this asset class, as should be toll roads, electricity transmission assets, electricity distribution, and many types of water-related assets. All of these are currently underfunded, but would be attractive to investors if properly packaged. There are three main steps to achieve this: standards, verification of results, and standardization of contracts and techniques. This can make thousands of individual assets available to investors. An important early step is to converge on a set of measurement standards. There are many examples underway now. At the 2019 G20 Osaka Summit, the World Bank was a key part of creating the Quality Infrastructure Investment Partnership effort. This will help mainstream QII principles in more than $22 billion of World Bank projects. Several different standards and taxonomies are under discussion for sustainability disclosure and climate finance. The ASEAN taxonomy was offered as a model in Niigata last week. The ISSB and the U.S. SEC have proposed sustainability reporting standards. The World Bank Group supports harmonization of standards to reduce cost and enhance transparency. And we have published and been one of the first to publish comprehensive Paris alignment guidelines for our instruments and sectors. The second step is creating financing instruments with verifiable results that make projects attractive and saleable to donors and investors. Investors want to invest, but they need to avoid greenwashing. At first, this can be done one innovation at a time, and we've done that with Citi with the water purification bond, and in South Africa with the Black Rhino bond. These are useful starting points. To move to bigger projects focused on greenhouse gas emission reduction, we've launched a multi-donor trust fund called SCALE that would bring concessional resources. And the third necessary step is standardization of contracts. This will allow risk diversification and can create a robust climate infrastructure asset class. We heard from two of the investors the importance of having a forum and having expertise that shares knowledge on this. So with that, let me conclude on an important related issue. To become investable, countries need to do more to facilitate private capital. We are actively strengthening our support to enable private capital and strengthen private sectors. This involves a more holistic World Bank Group effort. For example, countries have been accustomed to holding their best assets in government enterprises. The World Bank, IFC, and MIGA can combine their efforts to help make these assets more sustainable and marketable. Ideally, this is part of a country's overall effort to facilitate private capital inflows, including for climate. I want to thank Japan and all of you for the engagement. Thank you.
はい、マルバス総裁、ありがとうございました。ここで招待国からジョコ大統領、アザリ大統領、ブラウン首相、3人からご発言をいただきます。まず、インドネシア、ジョコ大統領、発言をお願いいたします。
Terima kasih, Perdana Menteri Kishida. Yang mulia, pembangunan infrastruktur baik berupa seaport, airport, kemudian jalan tol, kemudian power plant adalah agenda besar Indonesia dalam meletakkan fondasi kemajuan untuk menciptakan pemerataan dan meningkatkan daya saing bangsa. Sebelumnya, pembangunan infrastruktur hanya terpusat di Pulau Jawa. Satu pulau dari 17.000 pulau yang dimiliki oleh Indonesia, yang akhirnya berdampak pada 56% penduduk terkonsentrasi di Pulau Jawa, dan 58% aktivitas ekonomi juga terpusat di Pulau Jawa. Ketimpangan ini yang terus kita tekan melalui pembangunan infrastruktur di luar Pulau Jawa, baik berupa sekali lagi seaport, power plant, airport, jalan tol, semuanya. Inilah yang akan memunculkan sebuah pemerataan yang Indonesia sentris, termasuk di dalamnya adalah pembangunan Ibu Kota Baru Nusantara, kota berbasis hutan dan alam yang 70% adalah area hijau dan 80% sumber energinya berasal dari renewable energy. Ini adalah showcase transformasi Indonesia yang sangat terbuka untuk investasi dan kerjasama, baik di sektor transportasi, kesehatan, teknologi, pendidikan, pariwisata. Dan pendanaannya untuk infrastruktur kami lakukan dari APBN, kemudian oleh juga BUMN. Dan apabila IRR-nya baik, akan kita berikan kepada swasta atau investor. Oleh sebab itu, dukungan PGII bagi pembangunan infrastruktur di Indonesia sangat penting, lewat investasi yang konkret dan pembiayaan inovatif lainnya. Mari berkolaborasi demi pemerataan dan kesejahteraan rakyat. Terima kasih.
はい、ジョコ大統領ありがとうございました。続きまして、コモロ・アザリ大統領から発言をお願いいたします。
Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Au nom de l'Afrique que j'ai l'honneur de représenter, je vous remercie beaucoup et vous félicite de la façon dont vous dirigez les travaux avec les résultats qu'on obtient et surtout ce thème dont on parle aujourd'hui, c'est un thème vraiment vital et qui concerne le monde entier et surtout l'Afrique. Donc, je vous remercie tous, les partenaires multi ou les privés, par rapport aux annonces que vous faites dans le cadre de l'investissement. Mais chez nous en Afrique, on dit que trop de viande ne gâte pas la sauce. Il faut en rajouter un peu, c'est toujours mieux. Donc, Monsieur le Premier ministre, merci beaucoup pour ce thème, qu'il s'agit des infrastructures. Et vous dire qu'en Afrique, nous sommes orientés vers ce projet, puisque je vous ai dit tout à l'heure que nous sommes dans la zone de libre-échange du continent africain qui nécessite des infrastructures, que ce soit les infrastructures routières, maritimes, aériennes, ou l'énergie, ou pourquoi pas le digital. Donc nous sommes très concernés par cette infrastructure-là, ces investissements, parce que nous sommes convaincus que c'est de quoi à pouvoir occuper nos jeunes pour essayer de les écarter des mains des rapaces qui les utilisent pour l'extrémisme. Donc, si on investit, on encourage l'entrepreneuriat, ces jeunes-là, effectivement, ils seront occupés, on aura de la valeur ajoutée et c'est tout le monde qui va en bénéficier. Donc, je vous demanderai très sincèrement à ce que, merci beaucoup pour les annonces, mais le secteur privé qui s'installe en Afrique chez nous, qui fasse un partenariat avec nos entreprises de façon à ce qu'il y ait une formation qui soit concrètes dans le cadre d'intérêt de nous tous. Et ça peut encourager aussi justement les jeunes à s'investir dans l'entrepreneuriat et ça peut aussi dégager un peu l'administration de la lourdeur administrative. Donc, encore une fois, je suis très sensible par rapport à ce thème, d'autant plus qu'il s'agit des infrastructures, il s'agit de l'énergie, et parlant d'énergie, on parle du climat. Donc, on sait tous le problème du climat, mais on est en Afrique et surtout dans des pays insulaires qui sont très vulnérables par rapport à ce problème du climat. Et c'est pourquoi on investit dans le renouvelable, mais vous nous excusez parce qu'il nous faut une transition pour pouvoir y arriver, sinon on va créer d'autres problèmes. Donc de ce côté-là, nous comptons beaucoup sur ce partenariat, mais surtout je voudrais insister sur l'administration. Des fois, on est confronté à une administration très lourde qui fait en sorte que quelquefois le projet ne peut pas finir, on est obligé encore de recommencer. Donc je dois insister sur ce problème-là parce que c'est très important. Insister aussi, j'ai entendu les investissements en Afrique, merci beaucoup. Mais en Afrique, il y a deux pays. Il y a un pays qui s'appelle un pays continent et un pays insulaire. Donc là, tout investissement, on doit tenir compte de ces spécificités. Il y a un pays qui s'appelle les Comores, qui est insulaire par rapport aux autres pays amis ou frères, mais insulaire aussi entre les îles. Donc là-bas, les infrastructures, ça concerne non seulement les routes, mais aussi il faut l'aérien, il faut le maritime. Et aussi, on est confronté à un phénomène. On fait une route, il y a la mer qui monte, il y a la montagne qui descend, donc il va falloir en tenir compte lorsqu'on investit, sinon c'est de l'argent qu'on perd. Mais il faut tenir compte de ces éléments-là, de façon à ce que cet investissement soit fait, qu'il soit durable et qu'il soit au profit de nous tous par rapport à ça. En tout cas, encore une fois, merci de cet engagement. Et je vous rassure que l'Afrique, on est disposé à essayer de faire en sorte que ce partenariat soit durable, et soit stratégique et dans l'intérêt de nous et de vous tous, que ce soit les partenaires et surtout les partenaires privés. Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre.
はい、アザリ大統領ありがとうございました。続きまして、クック諸島ブラウン首相お願いします。
Thank you, Prime Minister. Let me reinforce also the message by two previous leaders and give you a Pacific perspective on infrastructure investment. There are a number of things that conspire to make infrastructure investment in the Pacific Islands difficult. One is the small population of many of our countries, the microeconomies which make the return on investment very difficult to recoup, the distance. In my country of the Cook Islands, the distance from the main island to the northernmost island is the same distance as London to Rome. This is just one of the countries. And also the diseconomies of scale. It means that capital investment in infrastructure on a per capita basis is disproportionately high for Pacific Island countries. Too often we see the trade-off between infrastructure development and fiscal space because of the debt burden that often accompanies infrastructure investment. When we do invest, what this does on our balance sheet is the depreciation value adds again to our balance sheet, which gives us a disproportionate or distorts our balance sheets for us. The cost of not doing this infrastructure investment, such as sealing a runway on one of our islands, it doesn't matter whether you're sealing it for 1,000 people or 100,000 people, the cost is still the same. But if you don't do that, then what you see is the population on these remote islands becoming part of the migrant labor force that moves to other countries to find work. And in our country, like the other two countries, you're not just looking at one airstrip that you have to seal. In my country, we have to look at 10 airstrips that we have to seal. So the cost is replicated, it's magnified, and that's just for connectivity. We're also talking about digital connectivity with either satellite or cable. We're looking at replicating power generation on each of these small island communities. It's important then for the G7 and partners to look at tailoring the type of support that you can provide for small microeconomies in order for them to be able to participate in the main center's economic growth, in order for these small communities to earn a living so they don't have to leave the country. Thank you, Prime Minister.
はい、ブラウン首相ありがとうございました。 それでは最後に招待国の声を受けて G7 首脳からの発言をお願いしたいと思います。ただ予定の時間過ぎておりますので G7 からの発言はできる限り短くお願いしたいと思います。まずはカナダトルドー首相お願いします。
Thank you very much. Well, much has been said, so I don't need to say too much other than I agree entirely with just about everything that has been said so far. I want to thank the U.S., Japan, and the EU for convening this. I want to thank the leaders of emerging economies, the key private sector players, along with my other G7 colleagues. Investing to close the infrastructure gap will grow the economy, create good jobs for the middle class, and help reduce poverty all around the world. At the G20 summit last November, Canada announced $750 million recapitalization of our development finance institution, FinDev Canada, to help support infrastructure investment in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. Today, I'm announcing that Canada will contribute an additional $335 million for quality, sustainable infrastructure, working with FinDev Canada, the Morova Gigaton Fund, the Maramantha Energy Investment SRL, and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. On doit poursuivre ce travail ensemble, tous unis, pour favoriser le développement des énergies durables, renforcer nos chaînes d'approvisionnement, créer de bons emplois, protéger l'environnement et favoriser l'égalité des genres. Et on doit le faire partout dans le monde. C'est pourquoi on est rassemblés aujourd'hui, parce que là, on en a le plus besoin, on va pouvoir avoir le plus d'impact. Merci.
はい、ジャスティンありがとう。続きましてドイツショルツ首相お願いします。
Thank you. So we launched last year this initiative in Elmau, and it works really well since then. And thank you, Fumio, for your leadership and activity to make this something that is continuously making progress. It is very important that we meet today to continue with all the activities. It's about mobilizing public but also and mostly private capital for direct investment into the countries. And it is necessary that we do it within this framework because it creates the environment, the ecosystem where such investments can take place. And this is why I really think we should put our different initiatives together. So there is also this G20 compact with Africa, which is important to convince countries that there is an environment necessary for this way of investment. And if we are continuously working into this direction, I think this will be very, very good. Thank you.
はい、オラフありがとう。そしてメローニイタリア首相発言をお願いします。
Thank you very much, Fumio. The PGAI is a concrete, intelligent, a serious way of cooperating with low and middle-income countries with a non-predatory approach. Investment in infrastructures, they guarantee a higher multiplier than those in current expenditures, and they foster a concrete development for the future of these nations. And that is why Italy has guaranteed its support through the EU Global Gateway, focusing moreover on Africa with 2 projects in connectivity areas that form part of our Mattei plan for Africa. And the first area is energy. In this regard, the Helmet submarine cable, which connects the electricity production of Italy and Tunisia, is a significant project, and it is part of the Italian strategy to invest in energy production in Africa. And the second area is data. In this context, I wish to recall at least 2 projects, the Blue Raman, which connects the Indo-Pacific with Europe and North Africa, creating an important connection system between 3 continents, and the already recalled Medusa optical fiber cable, which significantly enhances internet connectivity for North African University and supports the training of Africans in a concrete way. We strongly believe in this approach, and this issue will be one of the priorities of the Italian presidency of G7 in 2024.
はい、ジョルジャありがとう。それではですね、今日の発言は以上とさせていただきます。本日のサイドイベントは、民間をはじめ多くの関係者が集結し、インフラ投資のための連携を示す象徴的なイベントとなりました。我が国は5年間で650億ドル以上のインフラ支援と民間資金の動員に向けて、アジア、アフリカ、大洋州を含め、世界各地でインフラ投資を進めてきています。引き続き皆さんと協力しながら、グローバルインフラ投資パートナーシップの具体化を進め、質の高いインフラ投資がさらに促進されるよう取り組んでいきたいと考えています。以上をもってサイドイベントを終了させていただきます。皆さんどうもありがとうございます。そして時間が押していますので、次のセッション7に出席される首脳およびマルパス総裁は、このままこの席にお残りいただきたいと思います。ご協力をよろしくお願いいたします。はい、ありがとうございました。
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
President Zelensky, are you closer to peace now, sir? It's a good day, isn't it? A good day.
Pardon? Pardon?
Zelensky there.
Yeah.
Est-ce qu'il est là, Mehdi, s'il te plaît?
Non. Il est... Je sais pas où il est.
Putain.
Mon sac à dos, là. Je l'ai pas là.
Ouais, Edouard. Oui. Depuis 14 heures, Mehdi me demande si je peux rapatrier quelqu'un de l'IMC pour m'aider à percher pour ce que je t'ai écrit. Donc, et donc moi, il s'appelle Sylvia Chang qui travaille chez Reuters Tokyo. Voilà, et qui D'accord. D'accord. D'accord, ok, parce que c'est lui qui... D'accord, donc, ok. Et t'as des passes encore ou pas pour aller des trucs roses là? D'accord. Ok, je vais lui dire. D'accord, ouais, ok, merci. À tout de suite.
Ils sont là. Non? Ouais, ben nous aussi on est là. Ça va vite après. Voilà. À gauche, ça va.
Surprise.
Oui. C'est bon, là.
Comme vous voulez. Comme vous voulez. Vous parlez en anglais, moi je parle en anglais, français. Très bien, très bien.
Recule.
C'est vos collègues, ouais, je vais faire.
Là où on était tout à l'heure devant.
Je suis d'accord. Mais monsieur, ah bah oui, mais si vous restez devant.
Alaska. Aqui, presidente. Aqui, presidente.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going. Thank you. Please. Thank you. On y va. S'il vous plaît, on y va maintenant.
Dobar dan, poštovani gledatelji.